Right now, we're having a great intellectual conversation. I mean, you didn't want to have it, but if we were outside, we could just be hurting each other. And I don't think that's very productive. Wouldn't a conversation be more productive than a fight?
Sure.
We did a series on self-esteem, but we used Nathaniel Branden's book, The 6 Pillars. Have you ever, are you familiar with that?
Only a little.
Yeah, that's a fantastic resource. And it talks about, living consciously, self-acceptance, taking responsibility, right? So you live consciously and you accept what is, but then you take responsibility, you assert yourself, you live purposefully, and you live with integrity. And it's a great message. It's a great flow. It's
living fearless.
It can become that, sure, yeah.
Well, I think it has to. What is fear? Fear is an emotional response. And this is important to separate. And I talk about this in the book a little bit, that this isn't about killing your emotions or destroying them,
right?
But having them serve you instead of control you. And so we have emotional responses still. You can be very passionate. You can have great emotions of fear and pain and loss. But then you do with them what you want to do with them. The emotions are your brain's way of communicating something to your consciousness that it can't do all the calculations for to maybe express clearly. Fear is fight or flight. And it's a good thing that we experience fear. It's a good thing that when government says we're going to bomb someone, that there is a twinge of fear. It's a bad thing when you stay in that state of fear.
When it runs your life.
And to separate a reaction from a state of being.
Right.
And that's that kind of enlightenment that comes with that self-acceptance.
And I've even said things on the show before, like, they try to get us to think emotionally, or they put us in this emotional state so we can never think rationally. And I think we can be rational while recognizing that we are very emotional. And
Absolutely.
The emotions are important, because if emotions don't matter and we were all just purely rational, freedom doesn't matter either. If it's just about all science, turn it over to the early 20th century progressives. They had a plan to scientifically manage us. If it's all rational, just let them, because freedom is very much an emotional thing, and that's why I appreciate you touching on it in the book. And it's that kind of freedom that I think we need first, even though, we do have these ambitions to see a freer world.
Well, what business do you have sharing any truth with another human being if it's made your life worse?
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah, that's true. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of this information, if you don't have the foundation to deal with it, it can initially make your life more stressful. It can make you more angry. It can hinder your ability to communicate peacefully and effectively with other people.
Well, everybody's brought down when they start paying attention. Nobody goes, gee, the world's more screwed up than I ever imagined possible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Matrix, where it's like, so we just live in a sewer. We just live in a sewer where robots try to kill us. And then, you're just stuck there, Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about giving people this, is it pulls them past that, because and if I may, about winning converts, we get sucked into thinking that this is a political movement, and it's not. If politics is the conversation of who do you point the guns of government at to organize society, this is an anti-political movement from its premise of saying, no, that's not acceptable. This is a philosophy movement, an ethics movement, a morals movement. You don't win supporters or voters or petition signatures or debates. We win converts to a different way of thinking. And you don't do that with that negativity. If you're feeling angry, and everybody's felt angry. If you're not angry, it's like, if you don't have that reaction, you're not human. If you're not sad, if you don't mourn for the loss of all the lives and productivity and opportunity that statism has cost us, if you're not afraid for the first time maybe of the right things when you realize you're 50 times more likely to be killed by a cop than a terrorist, but then what do we do with that? We go out on the street corner with our signs and our bullhorns and yell, now join me in my anger and my fear and my depression. Everybody says, screw you.
Right.
What the hell are you doing? And I'm so guilty of this myself. And the kind of ego-driven, headline-grabbing activism that I'm known for is what comes out of that negativity. But when you get it from, wow, hey, this is something beautiful that I figured out that's made my life better. By the way, it could solve a lot of the world's problems, but hey, do you want to be happier and more free? No one's going to come back with, oh, happy and free? I don't know about that. Who's going to build the roads?
Yeah.
You just don't get that objection anymore. It's like the people who came up with hygiene, people who invented, whoever was the first people who came up with brushing your teeth. They didn't have to argue with people. Do you want your teeth to fall out or not?
Well, it's
dumbass?
like
You
being
know,
a
it's
good
like-
example too, right? Where you can make that argument and be like, "Oh, I'm the guy who has teeth.
Yeah,
I'm the guy who
right.
chews my food.
I'm the guy who's happy, who lives free.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want some of this?
Yeah, exactly,
Right?
exactly.
And if we can't do that, like what we're sharing negativity, we're never going to reach like the consensus that I've got from this tour and asking people everywhere we go of how many of us are there. And I like to tell the joke about Sam Konkin's joke. You know Konkin, right?
Samuel Konkin III.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure.
He said there were two definitions of libertarian. One, anybody who calls themselves libertarian, right? And then you get, on one hand, Bill Maher and Bill Maher on the left hand, Glenn Beck, who call themselves libertarian. And you're like, is it meaningless? And then the second definition is anyone who agrees with me on absolutely everything. And you know that guy. But I like to define it a little more functionally as people who can articulate freedom as a principle and at least attempt to apply it consistently. We have to accept people who are going to have different conclusions that they come to, but of people who meet that definition, and I would say that's one form of defining voluntarism, we really are only about 1 million Americans.
Really?
A third
You think
of a
so?
percent, yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, that's believable.
And you take it back, you go, how many were there in the year 2000? And then you get to make some really fun, exciting projections about how we get to grow in the next couple of decades. And this takes it back to the inevitability of this. Is it inevitable? Absolutely. Because the curves of the asymptote, as I describe in the book, of productivity, connectedness, life expectancy, we're now at longevity escape velocity. If you're young and healthy today, you will not die of old age unless you choose to. Congratulations, Brett, you made it. Productivity, computing power that drives all of this now. Moore's law being clearly exponential, right? So how soon can this happen? And that's what motivates me. So when you get past all that negativity and you just, wow, hey, this is cool. Being a libertarian is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's what you want to share. And you don't have to argue with people anymore.
Skip, up the road, up to school you go. Don't be a bad boy, Johnny.